What's up, guys? Okay, now you have a business and a website. Now what? Well, you need to get very creative, but also you need to be intentional. I've already told you in the previous video that you want to focus your outputs. I mean, go deeper than that. If it takes 10,000 hours to master a craft, you won't have the entire craft mastered in 10,000 hours if it's not a simple craft with multiple techniques. You have to spend 10,000 hours mastering each technique. Besides, who wants a skill or hobby they can perfect overnight? Think of it like Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. These are two of the most important meals of the entire year because you have friends and family over and you want to make a good impression. That's why you start planning days if not weeks in advance. You may even go shopping for essential supplies before that. Then, when the day is approaching, you wake up early the day before and start to prep. You even get in the kitchen and still it doesn't happen in an hour. You're likely to spend all day in there with no distractions, and that's what this is. You're gonna have to spend time to perfect each aspect of this craft by focusing on one thing at a time. First things first. First things first, and then step by step, you put each piece into place until you have a portfolio of masterpieces. And believe me, I'm not only talking about you, this applies to me as well. I'm not quite certain, but I believe I am approaching 10,000 photos in my career. In fact, I started taking pictures in 2012, and when there was a site that some of you may remember called Google+. You may even be able to see some of my photos if you search hard enough. If you search Google by my name. But the point is, it takes time. Like I said, this may be your first Christmas, Thanksgiving dinner, even if you know how to cook. And don't let this metaphor get lost on you. Even if you know how to cook, there still may be something that goes wrong. If you know how to cook, you may have a better chance at success. Nevertheless, something still could go wrong. Same as a photography business. Your main source of income may be extremely stressful because you already don't want to be there and you want more out of life than just a 9 to 5. Then, if your website crashes or you're not making high volume sales, you have a job, you may have a family, and your website is down. What do? Well, you understand that you have to be patient. You can't let things at your job stress you to the point that you quit before your business is cash positive. You practice every day at getting better at client acquisition, retention, and turnover. You increase your margins on things that are selling, and by all means, you get better at taking excellent photos. So now, you may ask, how exactly do I get better at taking photos? Well, like I already said, be intentional. Decide what type of photographic style most impresses you, and then begin learning everything you can about that style. Try finding examples of that style Then find examples of that style in the place where you live. Or you can plan a trip to the place where that style is where that style is most relevant or most effective, or where you can do it easily. Remember, you're trying to manipulate this explosive triangle. So find out how that style is affected by things that make up the explosive triangle. If you can't do that, then start by just taking pictures by manipulating the explosive triangle to see what factors does what to that picture. Practice that over and over until you know what happens to each photo as you change shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. What I did and still do every time I go out to take pictures is I try to not come home until I have at least 21 photos that I'm proud of. But since I know the triangle so well, I usually come home with hundreds of photos that I like. Not every time you go out to take photos will you feel like being there, especially if you're just starting out and no one is feeling your work right away. But stick with it because it's going to pay off eventually. Another big tip that I can't stress enough is to know your camera and its settings and its capability. That way, when you have to think quick and catch a shot, you can spin 3 quick dials and have your camera dialed in. In photography, things happen quickly. You have to be ready with the cap off and the settings at your fingertips to be ready if something happens, like a teenage couple kisses, or a pair of grandparents hug, or if a bird flies by, or a car slams into a tree. All of these things could be potentially great captures and stunning moments, but only you will initially decide if it is. And you will never know if people agree or disagree if you're not ready to capture it when it happens. Lastly, final tip that I can give you is to find some way to print your work. Even if it's a $25 photo book from Shutterstock or MPix. It could be as simple as blowing up one of your photos at Walgreens and making a poster that you hang on your own wall in your own office or home just to see the phenomenal work you create with your own hands. And it's not about bragging, it's about building self-confidence in your ability to do good work. You'll never know, one day after you passed on, that picture might be worth millions of dollars, and it could have been all because